yet. In many countries, it's very, very legal. I mean, we acquired a franchise recently in the Caribbean Premier League, the Trinidad franchise. And when I was out there watching the game, on the big screen, they're flashing the odds for bets, So I was thinking, this is completely open and transparent. Nothing wrong. If somebody wants to place a bet, it's a free world. They want to do it, let them do it. And it becomes clean. People are investing with credit cards and putting their bets, whatever it is. So hopefully that plugs that little dubious loophole there. So I think it's the structure of it in terms of, can you corporatize it? Of course you can. There are many leagues like the NFL, the NBA, and even the EPL, where the stakeholders are the owners, and they're voting for a commissioner. So it's like a board, like any other company. So you establish a board, and the board is made up of various stakeholders, including independent directors of repute, and they are given the responsibility to put a professional management team in place, and they're held accountable. And the tone just is set right at the top, and the structure facilitates how this can be run. So that's the least of the problems. I think it really starts with a little dose of patience to say this is going to act as a catalyst for change, and a strong leadership at various levels. At the ownership level, it's not only administration there, because at the end of the day, owners, we have a lot of, the franchises have a lot of freedom to run their franchises the way they want it. And when that is set in that fashion, the structure follows. So I'm very, very optimistic that in many ways what has happened, although it's not good, is probably better that it happens now, because I think it's going to act as a very strong catalyst to clean up an excellent product and make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've had some very interesting opening comments from the three panelists. I have a whole list of questions here from the audience, so let me just start. I have a couple of questions of my own, but I'll go to those later. There's a question for Mr. Arun Lal. Sir, how tough is it to hold yourself back in commentary from reacting when you see an Indian batsman or bowler making an obviously silly mistake on ground in a crucial match?
It's sport, and you expect, that the best will make the most simplest of errors. So while internally you're seething, because it's such a, crucial moment in the game, and of course your heart beats for India, and you want to say, "Arey, kya pagalpanti ki isne?" But basically, you're talking about, or you're commenting on true champions. And this was part of the sport. So it's a little bit of a humbling experience. So basically what you do is, suppose I want to criticize somebody like Chika. Chika is, he's India captain, he's extremely successful. And, I'm not going to go and say that, hey, itna bhi nahi aata tere ko, kya kiya tune? You ruined it for everybody. But what you say is that, great guy, great champion, he's one of the best, but I think he's erred on this occasion, and it's going to cost the team. Somebody has to go and rebuild this particular position. But, who knows? You don't decry it. You don't belittle him. And knowing, because you played the sport, that he's going to be your champion in the very next game. So I think it's a lesson in the entire way of life for us, is that, again, don't sit in judgment of champions. There will be good days, and there'll be bad ones as well.
Thanks. So that's the diplomacy of cricket. Sir, a question for you. With the unprecedented growth in the popularity of the IPL and the constant decline of patronage for Test cricket, what is the future for an aspiring young cricketer? Seems to be a question from an aspiring young cricketer.
See, for an aspiring young cricketer, first and foremost, I think it goes back to the roots we just said. If at all you want, you cannot straight away be a 2020 cricketer. A lot of parents do the mistake of saying, every parent nowadays dreams of their sons playing for, or a son playing for IPL. They've forgotten that playing for India is bigger than playing for IPL. And to be a good cricketer, you need to have the basic technique in place. And if you need to have the basic technique in place, that means it comes from the 3-day mode or a 5-day mode. Then it comes down to 1 day. It's all improvisation. So first you need to learn to play straight first. Then only you can, play the, improvised shots or improvisation of shots. So yes, I think while IPL or a 2020 format or the limited overs format, we will put it in a generic term, what has happened is, because of a lot of this limited overs cricket is being played and a lot of 2020 cricket played across the world, sometimes I believe that we do not get good spinners. And that's the reason. And today what happens is, as somebody said, everybody wants instant. As Venky said, everybody wants instant gratification. But even with all that, if the test match is being played in a true spirit with a fighting ability, people still watch test matches, don't forget that. A good match between India and Australia, in Australia, did you all want to watch it or not? Yes or no? So it all depends. Like, I still remember the test match when Virat Kohli captained India for the first time in the last series when we lost. He almost single-handed won the test match for us with a brilliant century in each innings, right? So it's all the question of the way you play the game. If test matches are also played in a very attractive manner, in a positive manner for winning, then I'm sure test matches will have its own crowd. Yes, 2020 will have maximum, 50 will have the next, test match will have it. But still, I think all these three can go parallelly.
Thank you. Sir, two questions on the money aspect of this. This is for you. The first question is, anyone who would like, that in a society where there is paisa for performance, is it not natural that we will get performance for paisa? So how do we define the dividing line? The second question is, when are investments going to start coming into other sports other than cricket, especially for tough games like squash and things like that, which may not have too much of a TV viewership?
Yeah, second one first, probably quickly, is I think what IPL has done with its model is today you have seen a lot of these other categories like football and hockey and badminton, and someone was talking to me about a wrestling league, and it's encouraged various other sports to follow the model. Perhaps, early stages, maybe the mistake they're making is to try and follow the same IPL model, because IPL is lucky that there is that kind of viewership, and therefore there is a broadcaster who's interested and is putting money on the table, and that's an important revenue stream that comes in. Whereas a lot of the other sports, and we're very interested in each of these, and we look at every single proposal, is I'm always interested in a category that we'd like to build, Kabaddi being an example. Although we are not in it, I think it's very interesting talking to some of the owners that it's a new category and it's got the imagination of the public. And people talk about Kabaddi and are watching Kabaddi. It's a short format, and it works. And so as the fans build up, the revenues will also build up. So I think the investments will go into other sports as owners become interested in this. I think the first one, it is, as Arun very rightly said, at the end of the day, it's a sport. So you have, when you are putting money on the table, yes, the auction becomes a very viewed event, but we don't think in terms of saying, I paid X number of dollars, and so what's there for every run, this is what's costing me. Some people have, some interesting jokes about that. But I think it's the consistency that you see over a period of time, and when every player that we sign up is signed up for 3 years, and course correction is done. So in a way you are tracking, because there is a certain amount of money to be spent. But you don't sort of look at it and say, this is the amount I'm investing, what's the return I'm getting on my investment? That'll lead you to nowhere though.
Also, of course, as far as the IPL is concerned, the brand valuation at one point was 3 billion. Various franchises have been valued at 70 odd million. Your franchise is valued at about 70 million at one point. How much has that been affected by the recent goings on? And also, what's the way out for the IPL? I mean, are we talking about the various ideas like temporary management for CSK and Rajasthan Royals for 2 years, or opening it up and bringing in 10 teams from 2018 onwards? What's your personal view on this, if I can put you on the spot a little bit?
I think, valuations first. Those of you who have been in business, and particularly in the IT business, remember the .com era, and it was very interesting to see valuations, because, my learnings on valuation is when people look at P&L and balance sheets and look at earnings and say, what's the multiple of earnings to come up with valuation? Those companies didn't even have revenue, forget about earnings, So in a way, it's kind of like that, because it is a product that is still yet to reach steady state. So some of these valuation numbers are all being pulled out of thin air, until such time we see transactions happening, there are no benchmarks to really determine what's the actual value of it. So we'll have to probably park that subject for the moment. I think there are some really better minds than mine who are thinking in terms of what the format should be. There are ideas that are floating around about various things, although I have given a slightly different out-of-the-box idea. Considering that it is a reality that 2 teams cannot participate for 2 years, the options are to bring in 2 new teams or to go the third-party administration route. And we felt, as an interested investor, franchise owner, that neither of those options will actually help from a financial perspective, right? So the idea was to say, if it is only for 2 years, why don't you think creatively, invite 2 foreign teams to come and participate? There are 6 IPL teams. Bring in 2 foreign teams, just like we were doing in Champions League. There are 6 IPL teams, 2 foreign teams. You can actually have some fun with it, call it All-Stars, call it World 11, and even if you want to have 3-4 Indian players to participate in that, you can do that. So that's an idea that we've actually given in writing. Then the ancillary question was, what happens to the players of those 2 teams which are suspended? I said, many leagues use a loan feature. So you bring in a loan feature, allow those players to be used by other teams on loan basis, and then they can revert to the original team. So we think that's a better option than going down the road of bringing into new teams for whatever it's worth.
People may not even, it may not even make economic sense to buy a team for 2 years, for example.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will come forward on that basis. That's my personal view.
Sir, for Mr. Srikkanth, there's a question. This is about the argument you made about conviction, that all that matters is playing with a straight bat. And you play cricket with a straight bat and you can't keep playing cross-batted forever. So the question is conviction enough? If not, what are the other implementable steps at the last mile to keep issues like corruption at bay on the cricket field?
This point, in fact, Arun Lal and Venkatesh have been speaking about it. I mean, theoretically, you can bring in multiple ways. I was just talking to
Nalin.
Sorry, Nalin, yes, I was just telling. End of the day, I always believe that all of us have to be honest to ourselves and honest to our consciousness. Correct? I mean, we are taught values when we are young. Never lie, never cheat, never do something that's wrong, never hurt others. I mean, up to one point, you can bring in rules, you can bring in regulations, you can say, you know what, you're signing, like Venky says, hey, I'm the owner, I'm going to sign you this, don't do this cheating. Up to one point, you can only take the horse to the pond. Can you make it drink? Yes or no? I always believe that when you're a sportsman, that's why, what is a sport? A sportsman is a genuine guy. A sportsman takes everything in the right stride and does everything in the right spirit. I always believe, end of the day, it's the spirit of the game that matters. Yes, theoretically, you can bring in multiple, cautionary methods, precautionary methods. You can do all those things. But if somebody wants to cheat you, correct? Can you stop him? Answer my question, Nalin.
Well, you can all...
If you don't give me Bill and all. If somebody wants to cheat you, can you stop him? If somebody wants to rob you, can you stop him?
Well, you can put restrictive measures. You can put measures.
I think I'll ask an elderly person right in front. Can you, sir? No. See, elderly person. So, man, it all depends on what
we have spoken about traditional wisdom.
It all depends on the value system that you bring in or inculcate right from it. So, if somebody wants to cheat you, you can't do anything about it beyond a point. You can bring in whatever laws, you can make it everything, you can make it open, official, unofficial, anything you want. But you have to play the game the right spirit. That's what I spoke about conviction all about. End of the day, when you enter the cricket ground, you're going to the cricket ground, you're playing, representing a nation, or you're representing a team, or representing an IPL team, or whatever it is. That honesty, the sense of values, the sense of consciousness has to be brought in. And that can be done while you emulate those former cricketers when it's speak about them and bring in all that. That can only be done.
Thank you very much. We have run out of time, so we'll have to close it there on that very optimistic note by Mr. Srikkanth about the spirit of the game, and we can only hope that all the politicians and all the other nefarious characters who run the game also follow the spirit of the game. Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank our panelists who have joined us here in spite of their very busy schedule to share their thoughts and views and making this a very, very interesting session for all of us. May I now invite Mr. D. Shivakumar, past President AIMA, Chairman and CEO, India Region, PepsiCo India Holdings, to kindly present mementos to our distinguished speakers of this session. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. And thank you, panelists, Mr. Arun Lal, Mr. Venky Mysore, Mr. Kris Srikkanth, and Mr. Nalin Mehta. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this we have come to the end of the day one of the 42nd National Management Convention of AIMA. Thank you all for joining us here today and staying with us the entire day. We look forward to another day of enlightenment and inspiration tomorrow morning. We will start our day early and bright. The first session with Swami Sukhbodhanandaji, sharp at 9:15 a.m. Please do note, sharp at 9:15 a.m. You're all requested to please arrive and get seated in the hall latest by 9 a.m. to enable us to start the program on time. Until then, good night and see you all tomorrow. Thank you.